Let me ask you a few questions as we begin today. Have you ever met someone who, with their quiet presence, left a lasting impact on you? A person who didn't speak much but somehow commanded attention whenever they did. Someone whose actions were so aligned with their words that you couldn't help but admire their confidence and authenticity. In our fast-paced, constantly online world, where we're always encouraged to stand out, to make an impression, we often get lost in superficial ways of gaining attention. But what if the secret to being memorable was simpler and deeper than we thought? What if it wasn't about trying to be remembered, but rather about embodying qualities that naturally make people think of us, admire us, even respect us? Today, I want to take you through some timeless principles inspired by Stoicism. Not tricks or flashy techniques, but foundational ways to build a character that others will remember and value. Let's start with a few core ideas on how to cultivate inner strength, communicate with purpose, and lead by example. Chapter 1. Developing inner strength and calm. In our daily lives, we're often met with chaos, emails, notifications, deadlines, people needing things from us all the time. How often do we allow this chaos to affect our mood, our thoughts, even our peace? Imagine if you had an inner fortress, a source of calm that no amount of outside stress could shake. That's what inner strength is about. A person who can keep calm under pressure is like an anchor. They draw people in because they're stable, they're dependable. When you cultivate this inner calm, you naturally become memorable to others because they're not used to it. In a world of reactions and impulsivity, being someone who is centered is powerful. People are drawn to that kind of quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be heard. Chapter 2. Speaking with purpose and clarity. We often feel the need to fill silence, to say something just so people know we're here. But have you ever met someone who only speaks when they have something meaningful to say? They leave you waiting, anticipating the weight of their words, because they don't waste them. They're mindful, they choose their words carefully, and as a result, people remember what they say. So, let's consider our own conversations. Do we speak with purpose, with clarity, or do we sometimes just say what we think others want to hear? Speaking with purpose isn't just about the words. It's about choosing what we stand behind and communicating that genuinely. When our words reflect what we truly think, people take us more seriously and remember us. Chapter 3. Practicing active listening. How many of us feel truly listened to on a daily basis? Isn't it rare to have someone who gives us their full, undivided attention? Someone who listens without interrupting or rushing to respond. Think of how powerful that is. To truly listen is to make the person in front of us feel valued, understood. When we become that person who listens intently, we stand out because we're giving people what they need but rarely find. Active listening doesn't just connect us, it leaves a lasting impression because people feel heard, even long after the conversation is over. Chapter 4. Mastering self-control. We live in a world that practically rewards quick reactions and instant gratification, but there's an elegance, a strength in holding back, in being deliberate. Imagine a situation where someone insults you or criticizes your work. The immediate response might be to react defensively or fire back. But what if instead, you simply chose not to let it affect you? Self-control is memorable because it shows strength. People are impressed by those who don't allow their emotions to drive their behavior. The ability to pause, to reflect, and to respond thoughtfully rather than react impulsively speaks volumes. It's the kind of power that can't be bought or faked, and people respect it deeply. Chapter 5. Exhibiting confidence, not arrogance. In a world where people often confuse confidence with arrogance, true confidence stands out. Confidence is quiet. It doesn't need to broadcast itself because it's rooted in self-acceptance and inner belief. Arrogance, on the other hand, often masks insecurity. When we carry ourselves with genuine confidence, we attract respect. We don't need to impress others because our sense of worth isn't dependent on others' opinions. This kind of self-assuredness is something people admire and often envy. It leaves a strong, positive impression because it comes from within rather than seeking validation from outside. Chapter 6. Embracing integrity and authenticity. Authenticity is rare, but we recognize it when we see it. We feel drawn to people who are real, who don't pretend to be someone they're not just to fit in or to be liked. When you act in alignment with your values and beliefs, people remember you for it. Imagine a person who sticks to their principles, even when it's difficult, even when it would be easier to go along with the crowd. That's a person with integrity, and integrity is unforgettable. When we embrace our authentic selves, we create a presence that people naturally respect and admire. Chapter 7. Developing a magnetic presence. Presence is an intangible quality, but we know it when we feel it. Have you ever been around someone who made you feel like you were the only person in the room? That kind of focus, that kind of attention, creates an experience that people remember. When you give someone your full, undivided attention, you create a sense of importance and respect that they'll carry with them long after the interaction. People remember how we make them feel, and when we make them feel valued, they think of us positively and often. Presence isn't about what you say, it's about how you make others feel. Chapter 8. Showing humility and gratitude. In a world where we're always chasing more, humility and gratitude are rare and refreshing. Humility doesn't mean diminishing ourselves. It simply means recognizing that we're part of something bigger, that we can learn from others, that we're not always right. Gratitude, too, has a power of its own. When we show appreciation, not just for big things, but for small things as well, people feel valued. They remember us as someone who notices, who doesn't take them for granted. And isn't that what we all want? To be noticed, to be appreciated. When you embody humility and gratitude, you become memorable for all the right reasons. Chapter 9. Leading by example. Finally, let's talk about the power of leading by example. In today's world, it's easy to tell others what they should do. But what if we let our actions speak louder than our words? People respect those who lead by doing, not just saying. Imagine someone who quietly goes about their work with dedication, who treats others with respect, who lives according to their principles without needing to announce it. That person doesn't need to seek attention. Attention naturally finds them. They inspire others not by telling them what to do, but by showing them. That's true influence, and it's a legacy we can all create. So, as we close this first part, think about these foundational qualities: inner strength, purpose in words, active listening, self-control, confidence, integrity, presence, humility, and leading by example. Each one is a building block in creating a memorable, lasting impact. By embodying these traits, we become people others naturally think of and admire, not because we're trying to make them, but because we're simply living in alignment with who we are. As we continue to explore the principles that lead to a memorable, respected, and deeply influential presence. In our first segment, we discussed some foundational elements, such as inner strength, self-control, and the power of speaking with purpose. Now, let's dive even deeper. Have you ever noticed that people often admire those who have a sense of wisdom and composure, those who handle life's twists and turns with grace? We all want that kind of quiet resilience, don't we? It's attractive, even magnetic, in a world that often feels chaotic. Today, we're going to look at 9 more principles. Principles that deepen self-mastery, resilience, and purpose. Let's explore how these timeless qualities create an impact that others simply can't ignore. Chapter 10. Cultivate wisdom through continuous learning. Have you ever met someone who's endlessly curious, who is constantly learning and never quite satisfied with good enough? There's something refreshing about that, isn't there? Wisdom isn't just knowing things. It's knowing how little we actually know and approaching life with curiosity. When we commit to learning, not just formal education, but exploring new ideas, seeking fresh perspectives, and understanding different viewpoints, we develop a kind of knowledge that's rare and impactful. It makes us interesting, memorable. When you are that person who's genuinely curious about the world, People naturally want to know more about you. You stand out because curiosity and wisdom are attractive qualities in a world that often settles for shallow understanding. Chapter 11. Demonstrate kindness and compassion. In today's world, kindness often feels like an underrated virtue. Yet, it's the kind of quality that resonates deeply. We remember those who are genuinely compassionate, who are there for others, not for recognition, but because they care. This kind of kindness isn't about grand gestures. It's often in the little things, listening when someone needs to talk, helping without expecting anything in return, or simply being there. Imagine being the person people know they can turn to in times of need. That leaves a lasting impression, doesn't it? Compassion is memorable because it's rare and because it reminds us of our own humanity. When we treat others with genuine kindness, we create a legacy that lives in the hearts of those we touch. Chapter 12. Practice emotional resilience. Life will always throw challenges our way. Difficult relationships, unexpected losses, professional setbacks. But have you ever noticed that the people we admire most aren't the ones who have it easy, but those who remain steady in the face of hardship? Emotional resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, is what makes us powerful. People are drawn to those who don't crumble under pressure, who face challenges with a steady, calm approach. When you develop resilience, you become a source of strength for others, and that's something people remember. It's about being able to say, "This won't break me." When others see your resilience, they're inspired to find that same strength within themselves. Chapter 13. Make every encounter a positive one. Think about this. Every interaction we have with someone leaves an impression. What kind of impression are we leaving? Are we rushing through conversations, distracted or impatient? Or are we treating each encounter as a moment to bring a little positivity? When we make it our aim to bring a positive presence into every interaction, people notice. It could be as simple as smiling, being present, or offering a kind word. These small actions add up, and people remember how you make them feel. By leaving a trail of positivity, we create a presence that lingers, a presence that others think of fondly, even when we're not around. Chapter 14. Stay calm in the face of criticism. How many of us struggle with handling criticism? Our first instinct might be to defend ourselves, to explain, or even to dismiss the criticism altogether. But what if we saw criticism as an opportunity for growth? Those who remain calm in the face of criticism show a rare kind of strength. They're able to take feedback without feeling personally attacked. Imagine someone giving you constructive criticism, and instead of reacting defensively, you calmly consider what they're saying and respond thoughtfully. That kind of grace under fire is something people remember. It shows maturity, and it shows that you're more committed to growth than to proving yourself right. People respect that deeply. Chapter 15. Let your actions speak louder than words. In our world, talk is everywhere. We're constantly hearing people say what they're going to do, how they're going to achieve great things, make changes, create impact. But how often do we see people actually follow through? When you let your actions do the talking, you become memorable in the most authentic way. You're not seeking validation by promising things. You're building respect by doing them. Actions are concrete, and they're the true test of character. When you consistently act according to your values, people take notice. They remember you for your reliability and your commitment, not just your words. Chapter 16. Embrace patience as a virtue. Patience is a rare quality in a world that values instant gratification. We want results now, responses immediately, and success overnight. But real, lasting impact takes time, and patience is what allows us to pursue meaningful things without giving up. When you cultivate patience, you become a calm presence in a hurried world. Imagine being the person who can wait, who doesn't rush others, who understands that everything valuable takes time. Patience is an act of respect, not just for others, but for the process itself. When you're patient, people see you as a source of stability, and that's something they don't forget. Chapter 17. Practice thoughtful silence. Have you ever noticed that silence is powerful? We live in a world of noise, and sometimes we feel the need to fill every silence with words. But silence can be profound. It shows that you're not just reacting, you're reflecting. When we take time to pause, to listen, and to reflect before speaking, people take our words more seriously. Thoughtful silence doesn't just mean not talking. It means being comfortable with quiet, allowing others to speak, and responding with intention. It's a sign of maturity, and people remember that. In fact, sometimes what we don't say leaves the most lasting impression of all. Chapter 18. Remain unaffected by praise or blame. Finally, let's talk about one of the greatest strengths we can cultivate: remaining steady whether we're praised or criticized. How often do we let others' opinions define our mood, our worth, or our decisions? Imagine being someone who is grounded, whose self-worth isn't dependent on the praise or blame of others. When people see that you're not swayed by flattery, that you don't crumble under criticism, they realize that you're not here to please anyone but to live in alignment with your principles. That kind of independence is rare and powerful. People respect those who aren't constantly seeking validation and who stay true to themselves, regardless of others' opinions. So, as we wrap up this second phase, let's reflect on these qualities: continuous learning, kindness, resilience, positivity, calmness, action, patience, thoughtful silence, and the ability to remain grounded amidst praise and blame. Each of these principles builds on the foundation we set in phase 1, creating a presence that is unforgettable, not because we're trying to be remembered, but because we're embodying qualities that naturally leave a mark. As we approach the final phase of our journey together, let's take a moment to reflect on where we are. We've explored qualities that make us memorable through strength, self-mastery, and resilience. These principles help build a lasting presence by embodying virtues that others respect and admire. But there's still more. What if we could leave a true legacy? A lasting impression not just in the minds of others, but in the quality of our relationships, in the good we bring to those around us. This final set of principles offers us a path to live with purpose, create genuine connections, and ultimately lead lives that others will remember long after we're gone. Chapter 19. Value quality over quantity in relationships. Today, we're often encouraged to have as many connections as possible. More followers, more contacts, more network connections. But if we're honest, do any of us find true meaning in spreading ourselves so thin? Instead, what if we focused on quality over quantity in our relationships? Deep, meaningful connections leave a lasting impact, while shallow ones fade quickly. Be the person who invests time in understanding a few people deeply rather than knowing many people superficially. When you build these authentic relationships, people remember you, not because you were connected to everyone, but because you meant something significant to a few. True quality over quantity creates a legacy that lasts. Chapter 20. Be a problem solver, not a complainer. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is complaining about a problem. Then, someone comes in who focuses not on the problem but on a solution. That person instantly changes the energy of the room. They stand out. When we choose to be problem solvers instead of complainers, we lift others up. We become the kind of people others look to for guidance, inspiration, and positivity. People admire and remember those who bring solutions, who don't get bogged down by the negatives, but instead find a way forward. This quality makes us unforgettable, and it inspires others to do the same. Chapter 21. Pursue purpose rather than popularity. In our world, popularity often seems like the ultimate goal, but popularity is fleeting. Purpose is lasting. Imagine if you were driven not by the desire to be liked, but by a purpose that's meaningful to you, a purpose that adds value to your life and to those around you. When we pursue purpose, we radiate a kind of authenticity that attracts people to us. Not because we're aiming for attention, but because we're focused on something bigger than ourselves. People admire those who live with purpose. They remember us not as someone who sought to be liked, but as someone who made a real difference. Chapter 22. Radiate positivity without being overbearing. Positivity is magnetic, but true positivity isn't about pretending everything is fine. It's about choosing to focus on what's possible, on what's good, even when things aren't perfect. When you radiate this kind of balanced positivity, people feel uplifted in your presence. You become memorable because you bring light and encouragement without sugarcoating reality. People are drawn to this kind of optimism because it's genuine. It acknowledges challenges but refuses to let them overshadow what's possible. Chapter 23. Don't criticize or condemn others. How often do we feel the urge to criticize? It's easy to judge, to find faults in others, especially when things don't go our way. But what if we made a conscious decision to stop? Choosing not to criticize others, even when we disagree, is rare. Instead, focus on understanding, on encouraging, and on constructive support. People remember those who refrain from harsh judgments, and instead, offer kindness and understanding. This quality sets us apart in a world often filled with criticism and negativity. People respect us for it, and they feel safe in our presence. Chapter 24. Accept what you cannot control. There are countless things in life beyond our control. Other people's opinions, circumstances, even the outcomes of our own efforts. Yet we often waste so much energy resisting these things. Imagine if, instead, we simply accepted what we couldn't change. People are drawn to those who are calm and accepting, who don't fight reality but flow with it. When we show this kind of acceptance, it gives others permission to do the same. We become memorable because we embody peace, a peace that inspires and reassures others. Chapter 25. Value simplicity and moderation. In a world that often glorifies excess, simplicity and moderation are surprisingly refreshing. When we choose to live simply without excess, people notice. We become memorable not because of what we have, but because of who we are. A life of simplicity and moderation reflects strength and clarity. We're not overwhelmed by endless needs and wants. Instead, we focus on what's essential. This quality brings a sense of calm and groundedness that others respect, and it sets an example they can't forget. So, as we wrap up this final phase, let's remember, a life of quality connections, purpose over popularity, positivity, acceptance, simplicity, curiosity, and meaningful action is a life that others will remember long after we're gone. It's not about trying to be unforgettable. It's about living with intention, integrity, and care for others. When we embody these principles, we naturally become memorable, not just for who we are, but for the positive impact we leave on others. Thank you for taking this journey with me. I hope these principles serve you well, guiding you to build a presence that inspires and leaves a lasting, positive legacy.